Hello and welcome to this video of Gemini models in BigQuery. In this video, you're going to see a quick demo of how to use Gemini models using BigQuery SQL functions. Yes, you heard it right. You can use generative AI in BigQuery using SQL language. So how do you do that? There are some functions for specific tasks. You can pause this video and look at this slide. You have ML.GENERATE annotate image for image, generate text. Even you want to generate some visual captions, Q&A, I'm going to show you in a few seconds. ML.transcribe for speech to text, document processing, ML.process document, generate text, generate embeddings, understand text, translate, and predict. So there are so many machine learning functions. And please refer to this YouTube channel. You have BigQuery Machine Learning, the pre-Gen AI machine learning videos as well. With that said, let's see how you can create a quick generative AI use case on BigQuery using SQL. So here, the first step is going to be create a model. All you need to do is write, create, or replace model. And I'm going to show you how to do it in a few minutes. To create or replace model, BigQuery ML Gemini Pro. This is the model that we are going to use. And there'll be a connection. I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes about connection as well. And then once you have this model, which is the endpoint, then you use this endpoint to generate text, for example. And you are going to provide a prompt here like this. So let's look at how all it works in a few simple tasks, right? So number one, you're going to do a step number one, create an external connection. I'm going to show you, as I said, we will create an external connection. Next, we will set IAM roles for connection service accounts. All the objects, all the tables, all the APIs that you want to do, you gotta provide this IAM role. I'm gonna show you how you can get the roles as well. Next step is create a Gemini model. Again, create or replace model, which we discussed in the previous slide. And then you are going to use this model to generate text using prompts. 4 steps. Step number one, create an external connection. Step number two, set IAM roles for the service account. Step number three, create or replace model. Use the statement to create a model. Use the model to generate text using prompts. That's it. Now let's look at how you can see this. The first step, create an external connection. So what you're going to do is go to BigQuery from the navigation menu. And when you open up the project, you have external connections here. So click on external connections, expand this, click on external connections, and you want to say add. On the top, once you click on add, on the right side, you would see connections to external data sources. Click on this one. And in the connection type, just say Vertex AI remote models, remote functions. Okay, give a connection name. You can give any connection name. You can say Gemini underscore con. Doesn't matter. Whatever the ID, the name you provide, you're going to use the same for the remainder of the session. Okay. Now at the bottom, click on create connection, and you would see a us.GeminiCon in your external connections. Now open this connection. Remember the service account that I spoke to you? So step number one, external connection. Step number two, service account. So copy this service account, and from the navigation menu, go to IAM, which is Identity Access Management. Here, click on Grant Access and paste the service account here. Press enter, and here in the role, just give it as Vertex, search for Vertex AI user role. So Vertex AI user. just give the service account role to Vertex AI user. And that's it. So you would have access to this service account as Vertex AI user role. Next, you are going to go back to BigQuery, and then I have a table. The table looks something like this: customer reviews. And in order to create this table, you can download the data from the GitHub link that I provide you in the description section below, or the Google Drive link in the description section below. This is your customer reviews table, and I have customer reviews for customer ID, a review text, bad service, the coffee was hot and fresh. This is a review from a coffee shop, right? Okay, and this is the social media source. What we are going to do is we are going to use generative AI to classify if the review was good, like positive sentiment, or a negative sentiment. All right, so let's do that. The first step is going to be creating a table. So let's create a model, sorry, not a table, but model. So let's create a model, and I'm going to say create or replace model with Gemini Pro, and I'm going to use the Gemini Pro endpoint Gemini Pro. This is the connection that I'm going to be using, and I say run, and you would see here in a second that there is in the Gemini model demo, there is a model Gemini Pro endpoint which exists. This is required for you to write any generate text, or you want to do anything with GenAI, you need to create this model that you can use in your queries. Remember step number 3. This was step number 3. Now let's quickly write the reviews or classify the reviews from this table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another table which is going to be for the reviews. This is step number 4. Remember the steps: external connection, model. This is the third step, the model, and the fourth step is to create a, whoops. Okay, so this is the query. And if you do not understand the query, what you can do is select this query and say, explain me this query. That's it. Click on this. It'll explain you what this query is trying to do. Make sense? Okay, so let's quickly look at this. It is going to create a table known as customer review analysis, and it is going to use these columns from the table Gemini Pro. Remember the table, remember the model Gemini Pro, and it is going to use the customer reviews table. So customer reviews table, it is going to select these columns, and then using ML.GENERATE text, it is going to generate these columns. Make sense? So repeat one more time. This is going to create a table known as customer reviews underscore analysis. It is going to do ML.GENERATE text. This is the function, remember. And then you have model, you have select statements from the customer review. So based on the customer reviews, it is going to identify it was a positive review or a negative review. And I'm going to use the temperature as 0.2. So with that said, I'm going to run this. It is going to take around 30 odd seconds. So I'm going to pause my video and come back on when it's done. So, this is now created, and you would see a new table customer reviews analysis. Please note that to run this job, it might take you around 30 seconds to a minute, sometimes a couple of minutes, depending upon the resources availability. All right. So with that said, let's look at customer reviews analysis. Please note that this was the fourth step. So we are good. Now we have a table, a new table known as customer reviews analysis, which tells you the sentiment of the review from the customer. Now, let's quickly rewind the steps. Number one, create an external connection. Number two, provide the service account of that connection access to IAM. Number three, create a model that creates a connection to the Gemini Pro model. And number four, create this table with analysis. So if I click on this table, this is customer reviews analysis. And if I say preview, you can see that the sentiment, the first sentiment was negative, the second was negative, few positives as well. Now let's look at this negative sentiment, right? I had a very disappointing experience at the coffee table, blah, blah, blah. It's long. It's long statement, right? How can I make this in such a way that I respond to that text? Using GenAI, I want to respond to this customer, right? Because I do not want to have negative reviews of my business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another view. Let's look at this customer ID only. I'm going to make it very, very simple. Let's look at this customer ID 8844. And I'm going to use another table. So anytime you want to create the ML dot or use the ML.GENERATE function, you do not have to create a table. Make sense? But let's look at this time where I'm going to respond to this customer without creating a table. So let's write a query. I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna write this query again. But this time I'm not gonna save the results in a table. So please note that the same query or similar query, I'm gonna say that, look at this, this is no, there is no save table here. So what is this trying to do? This is trying to not save the data. So remember customer number 8844, which was here. This is the text. And I'm going to respond to this customer and look at this. This is the prompt, right? So this is the prompt here. You say, how, look at this. Sorry, this was a little, okay. How would you respond to the customer review? If the customer says coffee is weak or burnt, respond. So this is the response, right? Stating, thank you for the review. We will provide you the response. You know, the location they visited has been notified, blah, blah, blah. So you are now generating a response. Answer in JSON format with two keys, response and action. Response should be string, action should be a string. Let's see how it responds back, right? So, okay, let's see how it responds back. And I'm gonna run this query. Again, it might take a little bit time, maybe 30 seconds or so, but it was fast. So now I got this response. Look at that. Thank you for your feedback. And when you expand this, you would see that actions. So this is an actionable item. Remember the JSON format with two keys. And I'm going to copy this text in a notepad, like a text file, and you can download it from the Google Drive link. The location should take the following actions to improve. Train staff on better customer service. So you are giving an action item, an actionable item to the store owner. So you're responding back to the customer, apologizing for the bad service, but also letting the team know at the store that, hey, you gotta improve few things. What are the actions that you take? Make sense? And you can, respond back in a similar fashion to a positive review, wherein you're gonna thank the customer and appreciate the store as well for the review. Make sense? So this is very simple. I know that we did not go in detail how to write it. Like, look at it. I'm assuming that you are an SQL expert. Therefore, you're looking for using GenAI in SQL as well. Now, let's make it a little bit more complicated. I'm going to repeat the similar exercise, but this time, instead of using text, right, text-based thing, I'm going to create or generate captions. Now, what I have done is we have a bucket with images, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images, and these are the images how it looks like. A person, a man holding a coffee, a girl holding a coffee, coffee, just a picture another girl sipping that coffee, and a coffee mug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create um, an LLM model that is going to look at these pictures, and it can tell you what this picture has. It summarizes the picture for you. So let's quickly do that. The first step is going to remember the connection. The connection is already done. Step number 2, provide any objects that your use case is going to be using access to this service model. So this service account should have access to that repository. I'm going to copy this, and I go to permissions on the bucket, and I'm going to grant access to this bucket. Otherwise, this is not going to be able to read the images. And I'm going to provide this access as storage I'm going to say storage object admin, and I'm going to save. So you got access to this bucket where you have images. Now let's look at step by step. In the previous example of customer reviews, I already had a table. That means I had a table known as customer reviews, but I do not have a table in this case. So what I'm going to do is step number 1, create connection. Step number 2, provided the access. Step number 3, I'm going to create a table, which is an external table. And yes, this is a property in BigQuery. So now you can create an external table here like this. Okay, so it says create or replace external table. This is the name of the table that will be created using this connection. And I am going to use the object metadata, and then this is the name of the bucket. So I'm gonna rename the name of the bucket here. So it is going to be like this, and bucket. Okay, so this is the name of the bucket, and I'm going to click on run. So it's going to create an external table here, review images, and this external table will have URI, generation, metadata. This is the name of the table. Make sense? You won't be able to see preview as it is images only, right? Okay, step number 4, sorry. Step number 4 is create the connection to the model. I thought I messed up the steps, but you got the point. I got to create a connection to the Gemini Pro Vision model. There you go. So I'm going to create, replace model, Gemini Pro. Remember, in the models, we created Gemini Pro, and I'm now going to use Gemini Pro Vision. My bad. So I'm going to use it as Gemini Pro Vision. So I'm creating Gemini Pro Vision using Gemini connection. Remember, you have to create the connection to the model. And I say run, and this was the step number 3. So I created step number 3, Gemini Pro Vision model, and you would see in the model. So I'm going to use this during our analysis. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to create another SQL statement, and I'm going to use generate text. So look at this. This is another SQL statement. Take a look, pause the video, and I'm going to say that in this URI, which is the URL, use the generate text function, but this time you're going to use the vision model. And for each image, provide a summary of what is happening in the image, keywords from the summary, answer in JSON format. In the summary and keywords, summary should be string and should list a keyword should be a list. Make sense? So this is what the prompt is. You can do any prompt. You can create captions. You can generate anything. So I'm going to run this, And again, pause the video because it is going to take at least a minute because this is images. There you go. It was fast. Okay. So if you look at it, let's look at this image. Image 14462, a young woman standing in front of a coffee truck. She is wearing a black leather jacket, holding a cup of coffee. I believe you have seen this image already. There you go, black leather jacket in front of coffee. And keywords: coffee, truck, woman, coffee cup, black leather jacket. Another image is young woman drinking coffee, looking away from the camera. I believe this was the image that we were looking at. So the point is it's able to decipher the images. It is able to generate text. It can do most of the, not all, right? Most of the activities that you can do with Python or any other GenAI. So you don't want to be feeling missing out on the GenAI wave that's going on. So let's do a quick recap, right? We are going to do a quick recap on what we learned. So what we learned was step number 1, create an external connection. Or step number 2, set IAM roles. Step number 3, create that Gemini model. And step number 4, use ML.GENERATE and other functions. Now what I'm going to do is quickly show you this one more time. I'm going to leave you with this. This gives you all that can be done using these 4 steps. Again, thank you for watching.